emphasize, if you looked in the Makhosi, at the back of the Makhosi, as you're coming in the back where the two glass windows are, that is Msama. That is a sacred place. Obviously you realize that by now. But there were two sacred places. The other one was above the doorway. So you'll see, you might have seen in Makhosi Pindi's place as well, there were the horns of the animals that had been sacrificed, they were put above the doorways. So that's also considered a sacred place, Kotama. And in the old days, you saw the beehive huts above where the rounded curve of the beehive hut was. That was considered to be the place where the ancestors will come and warm themselves in the sun. But they tended to like cool places, quiet places, that's not interfered with. And so I just wanted to get those two sacred spots as you're coming in. And that's why you'll see next to the doorway, there's kunga coins that are put there to give gratitude to the ancestors and before actually holding that space and protecting what comes into the sacred space. All right, the other thing I wanted to talk about is these mountains. This was their home to the San people, the Khoisan. They were here for, say, thousands of years. They lived in these mountains, they lived in the caves of these mountains. And inside the caves, you will see there, as I pass that book around and you have a chance to look at those paintings later, you will see this area was an incredibly spiritual place. The San people were very connected to their spirituality, very connected to the earth. The Zulus used to come up here to ask them to pray for rain, and they were known as the rainmakers as well. And so whenever there were droughts and things like that, they would bring gifts to the San people and ask them to make rain and to bring the rain. You will see that their tradition was very shamanic. In everything that they did, there was a lot of shamanism, there was a lot of spirituality. And you're going to be going to Giant's Castle tomorrow. It's a large cave. A lot of the caves here have been closed off because of vandalism, because people try to chip the paintings off and take them as souvenirs. They do graffiti in the caves, and you'll see some of the places, the caves have been trashed. All people will make fires in there, and the fire and the smoke just covers all the paintings. So most of the caves now are kept as a secret. Nobody's allowed to go near them, and they just kept as a safe place for documenting what the San people did. But they used to go through a lot of ceremony, and they used to do a lot of trance dance. And once they'd gone through ceremony and their journeys, they would actually depict what they'd gone through on the walls of the caves. So you'll see sometimes they shape-shifted into an eland, or they shape-shifted into an antelope, and you'll see the paintings they are half human. And in other words, their head is sort of like the head of an animal, but the body is the body of the shaman. And you'll see their flecks that come off like, as the potency and the vibration raises, they would depict this on the paintings, and you'll see there'll be stripes of white coming off that depicted the energies and the vibration that was coming off them. They also depicted things like they'd put arrows as like psychic attack or things like that, which they try to protect against. They'd get depicted with arrows. There's a lot of symbolism in their paintings. So it's important just to go through the book before you go tomorrow. Just have a look at different aspects of it. You'll see they depict lions as being power animals. Eland was the biggest power animal. Because of its vibration, because of its size, they considered that to be a high potency animal. And so when the eland died, they'd actually use the blood for their paintings. They'd use a lot of the energy of the eland, and then sometimes dance in that energy and gain that energy and take that energy onto themselves, and then sometimes do a gratitude ceremony at the end for the eland that they managed to kill. But very much like your indigenous cultures in the States, a lot of prayers before going hunting, a lot of connected to that energy and that animal that they were looking for their sustenance and for survival. So I just wanted to go through that. There's a book here as well as San Spirituality. If anybody wants to just read certain pieces of it and get information of it. The San people come right from KwaZulu-Natal, going down into the Eastern Cape, right up into Botswana, into Namibia. So there's a lot of different areas that there are sand paintings in southern Africa. And it was a very highly spiritualized community. Unfortunately, they were hunted out, virtually hunted out. Because as more and more settlers came up, their lands were taken away from them, their hunting space was taken away from them, and so then they started to hunt the cattle and the sheep that the farmers had. And eventually, the last known sand people have now died out that they know of in this region. And so you'll see the Eastern Cape as well. There's no more sand people. It's just more up into the further northern parts of South Africa, and then going into Botswana and areas like that, going into Southwest Africa. So there's a lot of documented knowledge and wisdom that's in these caves. But as I said, it's just no out of bounds to people at this point in time because of the way they treat religion. These mountains as well are considered to be star beam consciousness. So if you look at this mountain with a flat top there, it looks like it's one mountain, but behind it is there's a gap, and then there's another mountain which comes up behind it. And inside there, I was told there's a portal. And sometimes you don't believe it because you think maybe it's not. You just get this information, and people can talk a lot of things, but the information I got was it was a portal. Then Mike came along and he started doing his photography. And he photographed, and if you look at his photos, and if you'd be kind enough one day to show us, you'll see the lightning strikes that come and that hit in between those two mountains go down. And the power that comes through and goes into that particular spot. And then we went to Makhosi ceremony, and this one man comes up to me and he tells me there's a portal there. Now, how did he know there's a portal there? How did he know what is going on there? But he says that is the place you go and you pray to your ancestors behind that mountain, just where that portal is. So more and more confirmation starting to come through. This mountain over here, if you look where the little koppie is over here, or little pointed mountain, before you go up into the main mountain, you'll see it just here. If you take this mountain on the side, just go to the end, and there's a little ridge over there. It's like a little pointed part. You go back and in. We had a woman who used to live in Howard. She was named Madam Clara. And she claimed that behind that, where that little pointed part was, a little bit further back, was the landing site of the alien that used to come and visit her. And she said she had a son from him. And his son was Arkan. And he went off with the father, and she passed on, and so that story disappeared. But there's a whole book that she's written about her experiences. And that landing site is behind there. There used to be a shaman that trained with me, who used to be the manager of the conservation services up here. And he was telling me as well, there's a site there where nothing used to grow. It was burnt. And nothing grew there for years and years and years. Nothing would grow in this circle. And it was supposed to be the landing site. So it has a lot of history and many people come here purely to see star people and to see starships and things like that. So it's known for its extraterrestrial activity over here. Anybody got any questions so far?
So people can hike up into that to see it? Is that what you're saying?
People can hike up, but it's quite a hike because you've got to go behind, you've got to go over a ridge and then down behind the other side. So you're looking at least a day's hike. If you go early in the morning, people leave, sometimes they leave here at 5 o'clock. And it's possible to get onto the top of that Champagne Castle there, but then it's going to take you about 6 hours.
Have you been there?
I haven't been to the top now, but now I have to go. It's like pushing, you gotta go. So we'll see one day how to get around, and I'll speak to people and see how we can get around and see what is there. So tomorrow when you go to the cave, just understand that the information that comes to you is not always from a spiritual perspective. So the guy that does the tour, he's going to give you information, but it's going to be from a more of a Western perspective of how people see things. But then look at the paintings and understand by looking at these pictures over here, you can get an idea of what must have gone on, how they must have done their ceremonies, and what they experienced with their ceremonies.